Hey everyone, it's Sweet to here at Emanate. Welcome back to another Mindful Monday. Today's topic is classical conditioning. So back in the day, a Russian psychologist by the name of Pavlov conducted an experiment with dogs. So basically he had a group of dogs and every time he was about to feed them, before he fed them, he would ring a bell. After doing that for a long while, what he found was that when he would ring that bell, the dogs would salivate anticipating food, whether they received the food or saw the food. So he coined the term classical conditioning. And classical conditioning is really what comes before the behavior, what cues a behavior. So classical conditioning actually plays a role in how our behavior manifests. It also has something to do with the roles that we identify with when we're younger and potentially continue with when we're older. So ultimately, if you have certain roles that you play in your family, at work, certain cues can set off certain behaviors when that's happening. So number one, if you're someone who is a perfectionist or you pay attention to detail, you want your T's crossed and your I's dotted, a classical conditioning cue may actually be when you see flaws or faults or someone that hands in something that has mistakes all over it, right? That might cue your behavior to get into this mode of perfectionism. Another role that someone can actually play is someone who's really supportive and great at giving advice and who's always there for you, right? So if you play that role, a classical conditioning cue may be when you see someone in need or in distress. So ultimately, your behavior is activated. Another role someone can play is that of a doer, right? So you are an achiever, you want to get things done, you're efficient. A classical conditioning cue for that, someone sees something that's inefficient or work that needs to be finished. It's really important to begin to recognize the cues that set off your behavior or the roles that you play. Because ultimately, as individuals, we really want to make sure that we own all of our parts and we're not just going around like robots, right? There's this level of self-awareness of why we do what we do versus being conditioned to be a certain way. This actually ends up really getting in our way when we try to fill a role versus really living our lives authentically. So an illustration of this is if you are someone who is very supportive and gives great advice and is always there for people, and your cue is every single time you see someone distressed, which can actually happen often, right? You might not be getting a lot of things done for yourself or your productivity because you are always cued to handle someone else's stuff. So it becomes an issue because you don't always want to fill that role or fill that need, but you feel like you have to because what would other people expect? But the reality is it's not up to other people. You yourself have to not respond to the cues of your own conditioning. So ultimately, there will always be faults and flaws in the world. There will be someone that is distressed. There might be work that's incomplete. But the more self-aware response is to ask yourself whether you want to be a part of the solution in that versus, well, this is the role that I play, so I have to do it. You can't always meet or exceed other people's expectations in order for you to be seen a certain way. You have to let go of how you're seen or the role in order for there to be really true growth, because growth isn't stuck in the same thing, right? What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. So I hope that helps. Emanate your best selves. Till next time.